Alright, so we are now on video number 3 of this practice assignment. So let's begin. Alright, so here's where we left off. We just styled figure a little bit with the border, background color. We set the width to 25% and we floated everything. So even though everything's 25%, we're only getting two next to each other. So we'll fix that in a little bit. No big deal. Alright, so what we want to do next, let's take a look at what it's supposed to look like. Here it is. Okay. So let's do a couple things. First of all, the image inside the figure. So it should fill up the the figure, and it has like a little teeny black border if you can see it. That's what we're going to do. So go back to the image. So instead of making it 100 pixels, let's make it 100%. Alright, so that fills up the border, or that fills up the figure. Let's give it a border. Border, 2 pixels, solid. What do I use? Black? Alright. Now you notice once we added the border, it's kind of the 100% white picture plus the border makes it kind of like spill out of the figure. So we need to fix that. Here, I'll make it much more visible. I'll make it 20 pixel border. So you can see, here's the figure. So the image is 100% the size of the figure. And then you add 20 pixels of borders around the entire thing, and that makes it not fit. So let's fix this problem right now. What you need to do is select every element using the universal selector, and you want to use, what was it, box sizing, border box. And what that does is it includes padding and borders into the width of things. So you don't have to try calculating things. So now when you make it big, it fits exactly inside the figure, which is what we want. And I'll go back and make this 2 pixels again, because we don't want that big of a border. Alright. So there's that. Okay. Now let's style this fig caption a little bit. Here's what it should look like. So I'm going to set it to be the same color as the border of the figure, which is like dark red. So let's see. I'll do fig caption. All my selectors are element selectors, nice and easy. And I'll set the color to be dark red. Okay. Dark red. And so let's see how it looks. Alright. So it looks like the text here is a little bit bigger. So I'll make the text a little bit bigger. So font size 26 pixels. It's a little bit too big. 20 pixels. 22 pixels. You just get yours to be whatever you like. Alright, 22 is good. Alright. Now, let's see what else to do. We look back at what it's supposed to look like. Alright. So, the image doesn't quite fill up the entire space. So, we need to set some margins on the outside of it. Let's do that for the image. Here's the image. And I'm going to use percentages since we want everything to change as things get bigger. You don't want to use pixels because pixels are like concrete. You want to use percentages so that everything gets bigger evenly. Alright, so anyway, go to the image. Let's be looking at this like maybe 90%. I mean, I'm saying maybe, I know it, that's what I use, 90%. So like, oh yeah. So instead of 100%, I already have a width. We'll make it 90. All right, so it's 90%. So it's not centered, so we can fix that. Since the width is 90%, that means we have 10% left. So I'm going to set the margin to 5%. Wait, you might be saying, why 5%? Watch what happens with 10%. 10%. All right, so then it gets all wacky. That's because margin's on every side. So if the left and right side have a 10% margin, that means that's 10 plus 90 plus 10, which equals 110. So we want 5%. There we go. So if the margin's 5% on every side, you get 5 plus 90 plus 5, which is 100. Okay. So that just to show you guys. Here's what it looks like. Looks pretty good. All right. And then the caption here. Notice how it's like right up on the edge. Let's fix that. Got to give it some margins and stuff too. All right, so I go back down to the fig caption, and let's use margin. I'll use 5% also. Okay. And then, so if I look over here, it looks like there's more of a gap on top. So I think what we should do is we're going to leave the margin for the fig caption at 5%. And then for the image, we're only going to use margins on the sides and the top, and not the bottom. Because right now, this has a margin on the top, and this has a margin on the bottom. So both of those make this wider than it needs to be. So let's see, back up to the image. So instead of 5% for all sides, we're going to leave this margin 5%. Actually, I do it this way, just so it's easier to see. So we're going to use margin top 5% and margin left 5% and margin right. It already looks good, but 5%. Okay. So there we go. So that looks good. Now we need to figure out how do we get 4 across. So let's fix that, and then we'll be done. Okay, so here we go. Let's look back at what it should look like. All right. Now we want ours 4 across, and here's the main problem. The main problem is the figure element has like margins to begin with. Some special, some like default margins. So let's get rid of those. We'll go back. Where's the figure? Here it is. So we're going to set the margin just to be 0 pixels. Start with that helps us. That gets everything where it's supposed to be, and it looks like that. But we can't see our div anymore. Our beautiful gray div. So we need to add our own margins back in. Okay, so let's see. What should we use? Well, we have... what should we use? Okay, so right now the width is 25%, and let's say we wanted to give each of them like a margin. Let's say we want the margin to be 1%. 1%. So that knocks everything down because we have 25% and then 1% on every side. So that adds up to be more than 100%. So how do we figure out what our margin should be? We have to do some math. All right. So how about this? Instead of making the margin on all sides 1%, we're just going to make the margin on the left 1%, and then we'll set the margin on the right to 0%. Okay. And now, so that means each of these figures has 1% on the left. So that means if you have 4 across, that's 4% total. So we need to subtract 4 from 100, which is 96, right? And then 96 divided by 4 is 24. Next one, yeah. Alright, so here we go. Here's what it looks like now. So let's see. So that looks good. Everything looks great except if you're on the right hand side. There is no margin here. So that screws everything up. What to do. So here's how we fix it. We need a little bit of space on this side, which is like we need another 1%. So we're really, where's my figure? So you're going to have 1% on the left of this one, on the left of this one, on the left of this one, on the left of this one. And we just want 1 more percent. So that makes that 25. I mean, that adds up to 5% total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5%. That means that the rest of the space has to be 95%. So I'll just make like a little calculation here so you guys can understand. I know you guys hate math. Alright, so the total is 100. Total equals 100%. And so we have margin on left is equal to 4 times 1%, which is equal to 4%. And then last figure has margin on right 1%. So far, this plus this is 5%. That means rest of space is 95%. Right? 5 plus 95 is 100%. So that means the width of the figures is 95% divided by 4. So we need to know what 95 divided by 4 is, and it's going to be like a fraction. So that means I got to get my calculator out. Alright, 95 divided by 4, 23.75%. So we'll make this 23.75. And look, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It fits perfectly. Great. Amazing job. Okay. And then, let's see. What else? Anything else? Oh, we'll set the margin on the top and the bottom to be 1%, I guess, also. Margin top, 1%. Margin bottom, 1%. There, that's better. That gets rid of the default margins on the top and the bottom. And then all you have left to do is find more images. I'm going to do that in a second. Alright, so what I went back and I changed the title of mine to Let's Go Heat. I made the H1 match. And then I went and found 7 other images. And I copy and pasted them, make sure they're squares, into source. So each of my sources is different. And I changed the fig caption. And here's what it looks like. So we have Let's Go Heat. I was inspired by yesterday's game. And here we go. One thing we could fix is the size of the text. We can make it change with as long, we can make it change along with the, when you make it really small, but we're not going to do that. Yeah, so it just took me like maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes to find 8 pictures and change the source of each image and the caption. And that is it.